The principal differentiation between natural selection and artificial selection is that in natural selection involves the natural process of selection favoring the most fittest which is able to face all types of situations, while in artificial selection involves the artificial process where selection is done by favoring the desired characters in the new organisms. Another differentiation in those are that the natural selection is performed on all types of organisms, while artificial selection is processed on some selective organisms of humans' desires. Next one, and evident differentiation is that natural selection occurs very slow and it has a long process, while in artificial selection it occurs faster. Another important is the chance of survival. For example, in natural selection, the chance of surviving increase a lot in the different types of animals or food that are involved. While in artificial selection, the characters is done artificially, hence chance of surviving of new breed is at risk whether it is plant or animals or any other organism. So artificial selection is controlled by humans and the natural selection is controlled by nature. Those are the most important differentiation. All these differences take us to the conclusion that natural selection always going to be the really thing that is going to decide with the humanity. For example, climate change will change us and decide if we can support cold or hot or all these things. The war catastrophes will help us to develop our characteristics to survive in the new environment. The availability of resources will help us to understand how we have to take care or produce some food for the next generations. This is very important because we have to be conscious about what is going to happen to all the next generations.
Technological advances play a big role in shaping the next stage of evolution. Robotics have been part of evolution for a long time now. Robots are able to perform tasks that are too complex for human and can also be better at those that we already do. On the other hand, we have genetic engineering, which has had some advances in the late years but is still very questioned by part of humanity. When speaking of evolution, it can be said that organ and tissue printing is the closest to evolution that scientists have been. Organ and tissue printing is basically cellular structures that are made from bioinks loaded with stem cells. 3D printing has already impacted evolution in many different ways. It is used in medicine and dentistry to create dental implants, prosthetics, and models for surgeons to practice before they make cuts on patients. But still, scientists haven't found a way to build a fully functioning organ. Compared to other advances in technology, this one provides the most advantages, including benefits in drug testing and regenerative medicine. As for now, some organs are already being clinically tested. Researchers and scientists keep making improvements or are very close to print a fully functional organ. This is the closest in technology advances that we have been to actually evolving.
With the next stage of evolution as close as it is right now, we have to wonder as a species, what could be the changes in the next step of human evolution? Some of these could be summarized in different paths and reactions to this new and unique opportunity in our evolutionary history. Being able to visualize these variations allows us to understand how relationships could change and prevent future problems. Taking into account the way this future evolution will occur, it's safe to say this could be one of the fastest evolutionary developments to happen in our history. This next stage will occur for the most part through technology as said before, making it possible to perform different revolutionary advances in a short amount of time. In the future, as it has happened before, our collective thoughts on what is considered moral could shift in the next couple of years. The idea of being able to transform the human evolutionary path could be met with resistance in its early stages, like right now. However, it could be accepted and celebrated in the future. With the acceptance of these procedures, it's more likely that more people are willing to go through the process of these practices on themselves or even their future children. The innovation could bring with them changes that were unfathomed before, things that could change our sense of self forever. Some of these changes could be so radical we can even start questioning what we have become as a species or what draws the line between what's considered human or not. If our bodies change so much, could it be possible to transform our way of living in our environment or even allow us to consider completely new places? According to Juan Enriquez in his TED Talk, what will humans look like in 100 years if we don't adapt to these new stages of human evolution? It could be considered unethical, the restriction of future advancements that could allow us more chances of surviving in the times to come.
Well, after reviewing the possible changes in our next stage of evolution, we may ask what the possible causes for these changes are. First, if humanity will evolve artificially at a faster rate, it may be necessary and natural threat for human existence that could create a sense of urgency across society. Then, the adaptation would be carried out as a priority. Of course, for adapting so quickly, two main things are necessary: resources availability and an exponential technological advance. Without these conditions, humanity is unlikely to explore space or resist adverse environmental conditions within some centuries. And finally, society must have an organization that can allow proper management of resources, technology, and human cooperation. For the major goal ever in human history, inefficient social and productive systems won't be enough. At this point, there are some questions regarding these previous conditions for change. Will humanity develop systems that allow massive adaptation? How efficient can current states be in fulfilling this kind of process? How long would it take for humanity to develop the necessary changes? The answer of these questions is needed to speculate about the possible consequences of the mentioned changes. For example, there's no doubt that a society that could not save all its members from a major disaster, but a few portions of them, will have a different culture than the ones that could adapt massively. Anyway, there are still some consequences for these changes that are quite plausible. A fundamental impact in culture. A different stage in evolution will mean a totally different culture. New ways for organizing societies, probably technocratic. This could be a result from the previous societal organization that allowed humanity evolve. New resources, probably resulting from extraterrestrial exploration and exploitation. And of course, different societal goals. Freedom and resources exploitation probably won't be the main values in society as they are right now, but this point is quite difficult to predict.
One of the biggest questions in human evolution are the implication all these changes we will have in our future. For example, in modern society, we are able to see how have changed past the years as the construction of towers and cities. So this make wonder us if in a future are able to exist other forms of humans, and all of these make a replacement or extinction of human race. For example, as an evolutionary biologist at Columbia University said, it's being able to look at selection inaction is extinct. This is because of all the laboratories and human actions can modify our genes in pro to change all characteristics we want. In another hand, all the prosthetics are designed for humans to replace missing human body parts with advanced technology or make a human half human, half robot. Due to we know prosthetics are an artificial substitute or replacement of a part of a body such as a tooth, eye, a facial bone, and all we can imagine, as a consequence of functional or cosmetic reasons. So all of these changes and mutations become new conditions in meaningful ways. For example, futuristic robots are able to change human capacities for jobs or daily activities humans have been making. For example, intelligent computers that are able to talk with a human, for example, in a call center. For example, in this image, we are able to see a new digit robot. This robot have the capacity with a wireless and autonomous system to transport orders and become a new messenger.